What's up, everyone? This is your host, Ghost, coming to you live with another wonderful video. How is everyone doing today? I'm doing well myself. Sorry about being a little bit late. So yeah, many of you may know, if you watched any of my previous videos, I have a second child, and then recent newborn. So trying to get anything done can be a little difficult getting down here after, got to make sure everyone's taken care of before I can get down here. Delicious. All right. I apologize for yesterday for not doing a stream. I was fucking exhausted. I was really tired. So I decided to take a break. And, my wife could also use a break, second child and everything. So that's what I decided to do. And, because there was no trial yesterday, it was, just seemed like a easy thing to do. Well, by yesterday, I mean there was no trial on Wednesday. So, because I do cover the trial the day after, so there's no trial on Wednesday. So there's no trial on Thursday for me to cover. So yeah. So like I said, I just decided to. I decided, hey, we'll call it easy, and we'll make it easy, and just yeah. So. A little housekeeping. Follow me on X at officialwghost. Best way to find out when I go live, and you could also watch me live. If you want to send any chats or anything, I think you can do it through X. You can chat at me. I'm not sure, but you're also more than welcome to head over to Rumble or YouTube or even Twitch if you're unable to. If you want to chat with me, Rumble is rumble.com/withghost, as you can see up scrolling up there. YouTube, youtube.com/@withghost, and then twitch.tv/withghost. Those are the 3 daily show channels. Links are in the description. And then, of course, you can follow me, my gaming channel, rumble.com/gamingwithghost, and youtube.com/officialgamingwithghost. All those links should be in all those links should be below. Yeah. And what was I gonna say? I was gonna say something. Oh, I've been playing Helldivers 2, having some great sessions. Had a few good rounds yesterday. Tuesday was my best one yet. I had a lot of fun. I had so much fun, actually. I normally just do like 2 hours, so then I can go to bed and do my show. But Tuesday, I did a 4-hour stream, which was great. So, and totally worth it. It was a good show. I enjoyed it immensely. Let's see. Yeah, so I think that's it. So, day 2 or day 10 of the Trump trial. So we're covering. Yeah, that's all I can really think of. Download my video so I can upload it. All right. So let's get to it. Sorry, just rearranging everything. There we go. All right. So he started a little bit late, looks like. He started at 10. Judge is back on the table. It was the gag hearing. So there was a gag order hearing on Thursday. Yeah. Let's see. Judge levied a $9,000 fine against Trump for multiple violations of the judge's gag order, barring public discussion of witnesses in the case or the jury. Trump was also required to take 9 posts down between True Social and his campaign website, and the prosecution Thursday will argue he should be sanctioned for 4 more. Merchant has allotted approximately 30 minutes of the hearing and said he wants to bring in the jury at 10 a.m. to continue testimony of the sixth witness, Kenneth Davidson. Davidson, if you don't remember, he is the attorney to McDougal, the Playboy model, and then also Stormy Daniels. Again, I'll repeat this again. I think the gag order is bullshit. I think Trump should be able to talk about anyone public. I think the only case where it's not bullshit is the jury. Everyone else, they're going to be live. They're going to be public. So guess what? They should be talked about. All right. Donald Trump's legal team has provided 500 pages of exhibits. Meanwhile, prosecutors have provided 4 exhibits, one of each of the alleged gag order violation. Prosecutor Conroy is up right now and describing that alleged violations. He's already found to have violated the court orders 9 times, and he's done it again here. Well, to be fair, when he violated it this time, he had yet to actually been found to have violated the court's order. That was still up for debate. To be fair, and he's probably going to keep doing it. All right. So the first alleged gag order violation related to Trump. Trump's statement related to the jury. In part, the statement read, the jury was picked so fast, 95% Democrats. Prosecutors said Trump used his platform to criticize the seated jury in this case. Prosecutor said no inference is needed. He's referring to jurors who will be in the courtroom in a few minutes. By talking about the jury at all, Prosecutor Conroy said, Trump places the process of the trial in jeopardy. That's what the order forbids, and he did it anyways. Now, again, it's not like he named the names, okay? Not naming names, which I think should be really the only thing to be prohibited about talking to the jury. Shouldn't be able to name names or describe them. And again, everything else should be free game. These gag orders are just bullshit. And Trump's more stupid for continuing to violate them. Yeah, it's only $9,000, and it's probably going to be another $4,000. So yeah, there's already that. It's not a lot of money, but still, you could talk about things without actually referencing everything. There is a way. All right, judge is holding another gag order hearing. All right, April 22nd, Trump made these comments about Michael Cohen in the courthouse hallway. But they call the payment to a lawyer a legal expense in the book. They didn't call it construction. They didn't say you're building a building. They called it a payment to a lawyer because, as you know, Conan is a lawyer. Represented a lot of people over the years. I'm not the only one. And wasn't very good in a lot of ways in terms of his representation. But he represented a lot of people. But he puts in an invoice or whatever, a bill, and they pay, and they call it legal expenses. I got indicted for that, he added. And when are they going to look at all the lies that Conan did in the last trial? He got caught lying in the last trial. So he got caught lying, pure lying. And when are they going to look at that? Yeah, again, Trump's being indicted for mislabeling business records. Even though we're talking about some sort of election interference conspiracy, Trump is only indicted for mislabeling election business records. So, and honestly, what he's saying is not completely. I don't know about the whole lying part. I don't know. I didn't watch the Conan trial, but and wasn't very good in a lot of ways in terms of his representation. I mean, that's kind of the vibe you're getting from the various testimony about people who interacted with Conan. This dude was off hinge. It wasn't a very good representation. All right, April 22nd, during a phone interview with Real America's Voice that aired on the program, Just the News, No Noise, Trump said, but this judge said that I can't get away from the trial. He's rushing the trial like crazy. Nobody's ever seen a thing go like this. That jury was picked so fast, 95% Democrat. Area is mostly all Democrat. You think of it as just a purely Democratic area. I think it's very unfair that I can tell you. During an interview with ABC PA affiliate Action News, Trump said, "Well, Michael Cohen is a convicted liar. He's got no credibility whatsoever. He's a lawyer, and you rely on your lawyers. But Michael Cohen was a convicted liar. He was a lawyer for many people, not just me, and he got in trouble because of the things outside of what he did for me. It was essentially all because what he did in terms of campaign. I don't think there was anything wrong with the charges that they made. But what he did is he did some pretty bad things, I guess, with banking or whatever, if that was a personal thing to him. David Pecker, I don't know exactly what he's going to testify against, but he'll be testifying today. And then finally, Trump comment on trial witness at press event in Manhattan, asked, "What have you thought of Pecker's testimony so far? When was the last time you spoke to him?" Trump answered, "He's been very nice. I mean, David's been very nice, a nice guy." So those are the apparent gag orders. Let's see. The judge's original gag order was issued because of defendant persistence and erratic escalating rhetoric aimed at those involved in the trial, pushing back on Trump's claims that the order let others attack him while he couldn't respond, prosecutor Conroy says. The next alleged gag order came from Trump's campaign stop, where he commented on Pecker, who was the first witness called in the trial. His comments about Pecker were calculated, prosecutor Conroy says. The defendant knows what he's doing, Conroy says, noting he talks about the testifying witness, says nice things, does it in front of the cameras. Conroy says the comments about Pecker were deliberate shots across the bow to anyone that might come to this courtroom and talk about what the defendant did. Let's see. So the violation, convicted liar. Okay. Prosecutor calls Conan and his credibility a theme here for Trump. Yeah, of course. Argues the fourth violation. Let's see. It says Trump spoke to the cameras outside on the witness trial. When are they going to look at all? Okay. Yeah. So trial. Let's see. Prosecutor Conroy says that Trump's alleged gag order violation, his statements are coercive to this proceedings and the fair administration of justice. The defendant is doing everything he can to make this case about politics, Conroy said. Oh, stop. Stop. These fucking prosecutors already made it political. You want to know how they made it political? They kept calling, in the opening statements, they called it a conspiracy for election interference. All right. They called Trump, David Pecker, Michael Cohen, their little capture kill store, tactic to kill stores and stuff they're calling it election interference, even though they haven't charged Trump with election interference. These fuckers have already made it political. What is this bullshit? All right. Prosecutor Conroy is now reminding the court that Trump's attorney, Blanche, assured judge last week that the former president does in fact know what the gag order allows him to do and not allow him to do. Prosecutor Conroy says the Manhattan District Attorney's Office wants the highest fine, $100,000, imposed for each alleged gag order violation again, but they're not seeking yet. They are not yet seeking jail. Merchant does not have any follow-up questions for Conroy. Now, Trump's attorney, Todd Blanche, is up. Judge nod as Blanche says he acknowledges the judge doesn't want the gag order to cause unfeathered attacks of Trump. Blanche also says part of the campaign takes place outside this office. Judge interrupts Blanche for saying, "My main concern is with the conduct that took place after the gag order was implemented." Defense attorney Blanche argues that the context of Conan's attacks should date back to since Trump announced his presidential campaign in November 2022. There have been multiple and repeated attacks on him from, among other people, Michael Cohen and folks that Cohen has on his podcast regularly, Blanche argues. A judge says exhibits that old will not weigh heavily on his decision today. Shocking. Trump's attorney, Blanche, is bringing up comments President Joe Biden made last week as he argued against alleged gag order violations brought against his client. Fucking hell. Last week, Trump's rival, President Biden, said in a public forum, he talked about this trial and he talked about a witness that's going to be in this trial. He mocked Trump, and Donald has had a few tough days lately. You might call it stormy weather, Blanche said. Stormy weather was an obvious reference to Stormy Daniels. Yeah, but Biden's not under a gag order. Judge responds to the defense team claiming the gag order means Donald Trump can't respond to attacks from Biden in his 2024 campaign rival. Merchant says the order means Trump is not allowed to refer to foreseeable witnesses. Nothing in the gag order says he can't respond to Biden, Blanche said. Blanche is raising recent tweets and retweets from Conan, as well as experts from Conan's podcast. Blanche also has more exhibits to give the judge on a thumb drive, in addition to 500 pages that the defense attorney just submitted. The new supplement material are a response to Merchant's order on Tuesday, holding Trump in contempt of the other gag order violations. Blanche argues that Trump's comments on Pecker sidestepped a question about Pecker's testimony, and that Trump gave a very factual and neutral response. Blanche says that Trump's comments about the former about Pecker were not a warning or commentary on what Pecker would say. That's actually fairly accurate. He didn't really. He just says he's nice. He's being very nice. Like, it's a very neutral response, honestly. As he argued against the alleged gag order violations, Blanche said the former president can't just say no comment repeatedly. He's running for president. Judge says Trump's alleged violations of the gag order are about what the other witnesses see. It's not just about Mr. Pecker. The judge says, referring to Pecker, the first witness in the trial, it's about what the other witnesses see. It affects those witnesses as well. I expressed concerns about Conan and Daniels in my decision. Those are valid. I get it. It's not just about those individuals. Oh, shit. Judge says there's no surprise when it comes to media coverage of his trial. The former president of the United States is on trial. He's a leading candidate for the Republican Party right now. Blanche again argues that Trump can't respond to 24/7 social media posts of everything that takes place in the trial, including their whispered conversations. Merchant said they're not defendants in this case. They're not subject to the gag order. I have authority over the press. I don't have authority over most of the people who are saying things. Judge says Trump doesn't have to turn right and make a statement to the media before coming into court each day. He went to the press. Merchant said no one forced your client to stand where he went that day. Blanche says he agrees with that, but said the former president has to speak to the press because he's running for president and needs to defend himself. Yeah, that's fairly accurate. Like, he's not like literally forced to speak to the press, but he's kind of forced to speak to the press. He's running for president, for God's sake. Like, you can't have him just not be able to make a statement. He has to be able to make a statement. He kind of is forced. As judge discussed Trump's right to speak as presidential candidate. Oh, that's not important. I don't like getting into any of this crap. Blanche is arguing Trump called Pecker nice didn't violate the gag order. There's no animosity. Can't speak apparently between the two of them. There's no threat, menacing statements, Blanche says. Judge cuts him off, says he's not terribly concerned about that. So, what does he have to say? Okay. So here's my guess so far. He's going to be found violating 3 not out of the 4. Okay. I don't think Pecker is even closely remote. Like what he said about Pecker isn't remotely close to violating the gag order. So I'm assuming that, it's going to be 3 of 4. So it's 3,000 this time, Trump. Blanche is now moving on to alleged gag order violation involving Conan. Conan has been inviting and almost daring Trump to respond to almost everything he's saying. Personal attack on his character, mocking him for being on trial, and also his candidacy of the president of the United States for president of the United States. Blanche is now showing one of Conan's retweets from April 8th, as well as a post April 14th, where Conan posted a photo Trump in an orange jumpsuit. Blanche added there are repeated attacks on Trump and his candidacy on Conan's podcast and TikTok account. Yeah, why isn't Conan under a gag order? Blanche is showing articles. The judge is like, dude, I'm tired of this shit. Judge is showing. Blanche is now showing articles quoting Conan talking extensively about Trump's presidential campaign. After Blanche shows 2 more articles about Conan attacking Trump, judge interrupts him saying, "You made your point. You made your point." Blanche also says there's multiple examples of the Mea Culpa podcast that are over the top, and he shows a repost by Conan on an X that quoted businessman Deller calling True Social a scam. Blanche says Conan is not a man who needs protection from a gag order. He notes Conan is almost poking Trump about the gag order and claims Conan has started going on TikTok nightly and literally making money. Blanche adds Daniel shouldn't be covered in the gag order either, though acknowledges her comments about Trump are not so voluminous. They're not people who need to be protected, Blanche says of Conan and Daniels. This is true. Judge asked Trump's attorney, Blanche, to address the comments the former president made about the jury. Blanche said it was a 15-second interview that was over 20 minutes long. We very much believe this is political persecution, Blanche said. Murch cut him off. Yeah, the judge is a little tired because he wanted to start at 10, and it's like 10:10 at this time. Murch cuts him off. Didn't he, to the judge, cuts him off. Did he violate the gag order? Yes or no? Did he violate the order? That's all I want to know, the judge said. Blanche responded, absolutely not. I don't really think saying they're 95% Democrat would violate the gag order. Just saying this was a fast. It was fast. And I think even the judge acknowledged this was fast. Not like, fast as in it was, it messed it with the integrity of the trial, but it was a very quick jury selection. Blanche argues that Trump didn't single out any specific jury when he made an overarching statement about the jury. He also said some members of the press had broken down the political beliefs of the jurors. Trump did not specifically call out the political party affiliation of a juror. Blanche says, yeah, he kind of made like an overall statement. It's 95% Democrat, which honestly is a kind of safe bet in New York. Judge takes a short break, or it's concluded, and judge wants a short break. So they're 15 minutes over the deadline that the judge wanted. Judge is yet to rule on the prosecution's 4 additional allegations against Trump. All right. Judge back on the seat. The allies are Boris, a former White House aide, Andrew Giuliani, son of Rudy Giuliani. Shuffled papers. Very interesting. So Davidson's back on the stand. Da-da-da. Jury enters the room. Prosecutors resume questions of Davidson. Prosecutor Steinglass has begun by having the court look at an email from Howard to Davidson and Conan, who was then Trump's personal attorney. Oh, shocking. The October 26, 2016 email from Howard reads, "Thank you both for chatting with me earlier." Howard referenced to the agreement a change to reflect an updated name for an LLC to be used and the transfer of funds on Thursday a.m. to be held in escrow until receipt of agreement. Davidson is testifying that eventually he lost trust in Conan, explaining it had to do with the delays in funds. At this point, Howard got back involved as a mediator, he says. After showing the jury an email from October 26, 2016, they are looking at email response from Conan at 6:47 on October 27th, in which he asked Davidson to confirm that the wire received today would be held in the attorney's trust account. Davidson responded less than an hour later. I confirm that I will work in good faith and no funds shall be dispersed unless and until the plaintiff personally signs all necessary settlement paperwork. Davidson also wrote that the settlement documents would name the correct corporation, Essential Consultant LLC. Davidson said in the email he would act in good faith, telling Conan he would only release the funds to Stormy Daniels after Conan confirmed he received the signed agreement via FedEx. Davidson noted that initially Conan's entity to fund Daniels' deal was named Resolution Consultant LLC. At some point, between then and the final document, did the entity name change? Steinglass asked. It did. Davidson testified. Shocking. Money wired, I am told, Howard wrote in a message to Davidson in 2:32 on October 27th, 2016. According to the exhibit being shown in court. Funds received, Davidson texted back at 4:03 p.m. Unbelievable, Howard wrote 2 minutes later. Was never really sure, Davidson texted back. Yeah, I bet. Steinglass is now walking Davidson through the confidential settlement paperwork between Stormy Daniels and Trump. This was an agreement between David Dennison and Peggy Peterson, the pseudonyms that Davidson had come up with for Trump and Daniels. Prosecution is now going over the liquidated damages provision in the agreement. The stated amount was $1 million per breach of contract. Steinglass asked if it was unusual to have such a higher amount than the amount tied to the contract. Davidson replies he doesn't think that would have been legally enforceable because it is so far in excess of the settlement amount of the contract. He says Conan demanded the provision be included and set at that amount. Steinglass asked who was accepted services on behalf of David Dennison, who Kenneth testified is Trump. Essential consulting care of Conan Esquire, Davidson testified. Let's see. Steinglass is now showing Davidson a side agreement, which includes Trump's real name, not pseudonym used in the agreement. Dennison. Davidson says Trump's name in the agreement is written in Davidson's hands. Document reads: it further agree that neither party shall keep a copy of this document, and it's noted that only Davidson and Conan, as counsel for the parties, would maintain possession of it. The settlement agreement decodes the agreement that uses the pseudonyms, Davidson explains. Steinglass showing a series of messages and documents during this opening portion of today's questioning for Davidson. Most jurors are looking at the monitor. Oh, again, I don't care about what. Davidson says he never saw a copy of the agreement where there was a signature on the line for Dennison, only that Conan signed the agreement on Trump's behalf. The signed agreement lists Peggy Peterson, a.k.a. Stephanie Gregory Clifford, a.k.a. Stormy Daniels, but it just says David Dennison, a.k.a. blank. Davidson said he was paid $10,000 for his role in the Stormy Daniels deal. Davidson was just asked how much money he dispersed to Daniels. I fear that invades attorney-client privilege. I dispersed everything other than my attorney fees, Davidson replies. Steinglass has moved back to McDougal, the other woman for whom Davidson helped arrange a hush money payment in exchange for the story of an affair with Trump. Steinglass has pulled up a Wall Street Journal story about McDougal, published November 4th, 2016. Davidson said he spoke to Conan at the time more than once. He was very upset. He was very upset about the article, that the article had been published. He was very upset about the timing of the article and wanted to know who the source of the article was, why. So, excuse me. Someone would be the source of the type of article. He was very upset about the timing, Davidson said. Davidson said Cohen's complaint about the timing of the article was a reference to the close proximity of the election of 2016. Steinglass asked Davidson if he knew when the election was that year. Davidson said he isn't sure and guessed November 6th. It was November 8th, 4 days after the WSJ article was published. Cohen said his boss, Trump, was very upset and threatened to sue McDougal, Davidson testified. I don't think he ever did, though. Davidson said he texted Howard as the results were coming in on election night, 2016. What have we done? Davidson says he texted Howard. Oh my God, Howard responded, according to Davidson. Davidson says his text to Howard saying, "What have we done?" was sort of gallows humor. It was election night as the results were coming in. There was sort of surprise among the broadcasters and others that Trump was leading in the polls, and there was a growing sense that folks were about to call the election, he said. There was an understanding that our efforts may in some way strike that our activities may have in some way assisted the presidential campaign of Trump, he continued. Who won the election? Steinglass asked, just for the record. Trump, Davidson replied. Davidson is looking at the jury as he speaks. Davidson is recalling a story near the holidays, a time near the holidays that year, while in a strangely decorated department store, he got a call from a very despondent and saddened Conan. He said something to the effect of, Jesus Christ, can you fucking believe I'm not going to Washington after everything I've done for that fucking guy? I can't believe I'm not going to Washington. I saved that guy's ass so many times. You don't even know. Trump's not paying attention to Davidson as he recalls this. Davidson is shown the receipt of the store where he was shopping at the time he got the call from Conan to remind him of the date of the call. It was December 9th. Steinglass asked how the store was decorated. Davidson, after a pause, described it as a warehouse-like big box store decorated like Alice in Wonderland. There were these huge rabbits, he says. That fucking guy is not even paying me the $103,000 back, Davidson recalls Conan telling him during the December phone call. Steinglass is now showing Davidson January 2018 email response to Wall Street Journal before they publish an article about Daniels and Trump. Comment, nothing about the present day regurgitation of these rumors caused us to rethink our prior denial issued in 2011. Davidson wrote to the WSJ reporter. Davidson will forward the email thread to Conan to let him know how he handled the story. We had a mutual interest in this period of time, Davidson says, and why he would forward the why he forwarded the email to Conan. We had a fully executed settlement agreement and confidentiality agreement that was the subject of the story. Steinglass is now showing text between Conan and Davidson. These messages are regarding a Wall Street Journal article about adult film star Stormy Daniels. WSJ called Stormy. She didn't answer. They say they are running story and have a deadline of tonight for her to comment. In court, Steinglass asked if the email was about Daniels' payout. Davidson corrects him and refers to it as Daniels' settlement. Write a strong denial comment for her like you did before. Conan texted back 5 minutes later, according to the court exhibit. Denial of what? Asked Steinglass asked. Everything, Davidson said, including the sexual encounter with Trump. Steinglass asked. Yes, Davidson said. Davidson says the jury is shown a January 10th, 2018 statement about Daniels, or from Daniels. I'm saying with complete clarity that this is absolutely false. The statement reads in part referring to the alleged romantic affair between Daniels and Trump. Davidson is asked whether he prepared the statement. I believe so, Davidson says. Steinglass is asking Davidson more about the 2018 statement from Stormy Daniels. He asked Davidson, how would you characterize the truthfulness of this statement? I think this is a tactic that is often used in the oftentimes cat and mouse interactions between publicists and attorneys and the press. An extremely strict reading of this now would technically be true. Stevenson said, added with an extremely fine reading. Asked about the part of the Daniels 2018 statement in which she denies having a sexual and or romantic affair with Trump, Davidson says, I think you have to hone in on the definitions of romantic, sexual, and affair. I don't think anyone had alleged that any interaction between she and Trump was romantic, Davidson explained. Davidson, who negotiated both Daniels and McDougal's hush money agreements, is pushed back on Steinglass language in a series of questionings. It wasn't a payout, it wasn't hush money, it was considered a civil settlement, Davidson said of the deals. Steinglass asked the witness how his client's statements is true when it says rumors that I have received hush money from Trump are completely false. Prosecutor asked if that was clever and misleading in his wording, to which Davidson says he doesn't understand the question. Steinglass is asking Davidson a series of questions about the phrase hush money. Would you use the phrase hush money to describe money that was paid to your client by Trump? He asked. I would never use that word, Davidson says. Steinglass asked what the word he would use. Considerations, Davidson said, explaining earlier that it was like a contact where someone pays you $5 to mow their lawn. Steinglass says Conan was in a pants on fire moment with Daniel's story percolating in the media. He was frantic, Davidson says. Conan texted Davidson on January 17th saying he tentatively booked Daniels on Hannity Fox News show that night. I have tentatively scheduled her for Hannity tonight. Call me after your trial, Conan said. She did not appear on a show, however, Davidson said. Davidson said he understood at that point that Conan felt that Daniels going on Hannity would somehow help him and Trump, with the understanding she would further deny the interaction. Later on, January 17th, Conan texted Davidson about Daniels. Kenneth, the wise men all believe the story is dying and don't think it's smart for her to do the interview. Let's let her do her thing, but not interviews at all with anyone. Davidson responded 100%. Davidson reiterates on the stand that this was part of Conan's Pants on Fire stage, where he'd run around planning things, but then when he'd run them up the flagpole, plans would change. Thanks, pal, Conan responded. Just no interviews or statements unless it's through you, he said through a text the evening of January 17th. On January 26, 2018, Conan texted Davidson to ask why Daniels was going on Jimmy Kimmel's late night show after the year's State of the Union, according to the messages shown in court. I don't know. I was pissed, she said. This was her shot. I was meeting with her this weekend to prepare her and get the statement. Davidson responded. Davidson says in court this was a tough spot for Daniels. She was hamstringed by the settlement agreement with Trump. Conan said at the time that she could speak publicly with restrictions, but she wanted to talk about her life and reinvigorate her career, Davidson explained. Davidson is now going through texts from January 30th after a news article was published, and he was receiving hundreds of calls from reporters. She stated she authored it and released it of her own volition. Davidson told Conan about Daniels. Davidson explained that Conan had requested another statement from Daniels on the day she appeared on Jimmy Kimmel. He wanted to know whether she was going to release it. Davidson has now explained there was another statement that was prepared for Daniels and released on January 30th. Steinglass is now showing the statement now. I'm denying this affair because it never happened, Daniels said in a Selman. Davidson said he wrote this statement while in the Marilyn Monroe suite at the Roosevelt Hotel in Los Angeles. He was there with Daniels, her publicist Rodriguez, hair and makeup artist. The Jimmy Kimmel Live team put Daniels up in a hotel before she went on the show, Davidson says. Davidson digs in on the statement of Daniels denying an affair with Trump. I think it's technically true, he says. Asked how that is true, Davidson says, because I don't think anyone who had ever alleged that there was a relationship between Daniels and Trump. I believe a relationship is an ongoing interaction. Davidson said he would give the same explanation as earlier for why he does not believe Daniels was paid hush money in the agreement. 1 second. Steinglass is now showing a series of texts from Conan on the evening of January 30th, 2018, when Daniels appeared on Jimmy Kimmel's Live. During the interview, Kimmel repeatedly tried to pin Daniels down on whether or not the signature on her January 30th statement denying an affair with Trump was actually her signature. She just denied the letter, Conan wrote to Davidson, according to text shown in court, claiming it's not her signature. You said she did it in front of you, he added. She did. Impossible. She posted it on her own Twitter page. Davidson responded. They showed her signature and she claimed it was not hers on Kimmel, Conan responded. It's a sign of exasperation, Davidson said when he explained the WTF text. Davidson said he wasn't watching Kimmel at the time and was learning this for the first time. What's their WTF text? Okay. This is why this kind of sucks, because you can't really hear like all the get the actual interaction. Because you could actually get some legitimate like some decent you can actually hear everything that's going on. They're just gonna CNN's just gonna type what they think is interesting. All right. Some readers are smiling at Davidson as Davidson explains the text messages and what he meant by WTF. The text from Conan continues the next day on January 31st. Again, Davidson says, in one text, Conan asked Davidson to tell Daniels, publicist, to talk to Daniels. Please tell Gina to ensure she responds this same as your statement tomorrow when she does The View. This is not a comedy show, Conan wrote to Davidson. Conan threatened to sue Daniels many times, Davidson testified, adding he can be a very aggressive guy. We were trying to thread the needle and hold off a breach and all the penalties that would come with that, where Conan could file an aberration or sue Stormy. That would be a whole other disaster, he said. We tried to placate him while also trying to meet Stormy's desires, Davidson said of Conan. Conan threatened to rain legal hell down upon her, Davidson said. Davidson is testifying about the pressure that Conan was applying to Daniels. Davidson says that he wanted to deny her story to protect his client. Text show Steinglass is continuing to show 2018 texts from Conan and Davidson, who helped arrange the hush money payment to Stormy Daniels. On February 13th, Conan texted Davidson an email address from Cuomo, then a CNN anchor. Really haven't heard from him since he left CNN too. I mean, he did have a very interesting interview between Tucker and himself. Well, that's about it. When asked about the context of the message, Davidson testified that he thinks Conan was under some fire and wanted validation or cooperation that the $130K payment to Daniels was in fact paid from him, not anyone else. Davidson texted Conan a statement which said he agreed that Conan's public comments that the $130K was paid from Conan's personal funds was in complete harmony with what he informed me of at the time of the transaction. Perfect. Sent to Cuomo, Conan responded. Davidson confirmed he sent that statement to the anchor. Court takes a short break. Steinglass is finished with direct examination of Davidson. The defense will start the cross. Steinglass' final question to Davidson as whether he had any stake in the outcome of the trial. No, Davidson says. Unless he's like going to represent Daniels more in legal matters, probably not. All right, so both will now examine Davidson. We'll cross-examine Davidson. Okay. Davidson says he never met Trump, and he's never been in the same room as Trump until Tuesday. I have had no personal interaction with Trump, he says. Bove has returned to the 2016 as cross-examination of Davidson. Bove asks how Davidson met Howard. I'm not sure, Davidson says. As if it was through work, Davidson says, I believe so. Davidson said yes when asked if it would surprise him that Howard considered him a major source. Oh, sorry. Davidson confirmed he testified about the grand jury in the hush money case. He also confirmed this during direct examination by the prosecution. Davidson confirmed that McDougal never wanted her story to be public. Davidson confirmed that model and actress McDougal had an interest in rejuvenating her career around the time he helped her reach the hush money deal. When asked by Trump's attorney, by both, McDougal called the agreement she reached with AMI her dream deal. Davidson confirmed. Part of the contract includes plans for McDougal to get a monthly column on age and fitness in Star and OK Magazine. There was ongoing values in her image and likeness, right? Bo asked. Yes, Davidson says. Bove is going over Davidson's history and cross-examination. In 2011, Daniels' publicist, Rodriguez, reached out to Davidson to get a story removed from a gossip site called The Dirty. I was essentially, in essence, retained to get the blog posts on the site taken down, Davidson says. Bove notes that the New York Daily News had repurposed the Dirty article, and Davidson said he believed he worked to get that taken down too. As he continues with the cross-examination, Bove is going over the agreements with Daniels that Davidson negotiated. You provided legal service to Daniels, Bove asked, noting he used the term like plaintiff and defendant in describing the agreement. Bove was zeroing in on the call Davidson had with Conan in December. Davidson says that Conan had at the time talked with him about being Trump's chief of staff or attorney general. I don't know. I'm assuming Conan is talking about he himself being Trump's chief of staff or attorney general, not Davidson. Okay, apparently there's an objection. I like how they don't tell you what the objection was. Judge, after an objection from Steinglass, Merchant sustained the objection, and Bove is continuing. See, Trump's attorney, Bove, asked Davidson about his testimony a short time ago that Conan could be be aggressive guy. You could be aggressive too, Bove asked Davidson. Davidson responded he didn't know. Trump's attorney, Bove, asked witness Davidson if he thought about his legal exposure to extortion charge in connection to McDougal and Daniels deals. I have no idea, responded Davidson responded. In your mind, you were concerned about avoiding creating evidence of extortion, correct? Trump's attorney asked. Not particularly, but Davidson responded. One of the issues you had to be sensitive about was not to threaten the payment needed to be made prior to the election. Bove asked. Davidson says, I don't recall. Davidson asked Bove asked Davidson again to admit that 2016 he was going right up to the line without committing extortion. Davidson says, I don't understand. So basically, they're trying to make it seem like he was trying to extort Trump by making it so because threat of exposing some sort of affair in order to get money, that type of thing. Bove is asking Davidson to confirm the non-disclosure agreements are common in the media law space, and they are enforced and often litigated over in court. Bove and Davidson continued to go back and forth about the degree to which Davidson was familiar with extortion law around the time he helped arrange hush money payments to Daniels and McDougal. Davidson has agreed that he knew in 2016 he had to be careful not to violate the law prohibiting extortion, but he does not agree when asked in 2016 if he familiarized himself with the law of extortion. Davidson raised that in 2012, Davidson was investigated in connection with an alleged extortion situation involving Hulk Hogan. The witness confirmed this true. I did everything I could to make sure my activities were lawful, Davidson said. Bove asked, he never made threats to Conan related to 2016 election. Is that the answer? I made no threats to anyone, Davidson replied. Never linked these negotiations to the 2016 election with anyone. Is that your testimony? Bove asked. That's fair, Davidson says. Davidson is now being questioned by Bove about various celebrities and stories related to them and his alleged involvement. Davidson has said, I don't recall, to numerous questions. Is it fair to say your memory seems a little fuzzy around some of these issues? Bove asked Davidson. Davidson responds that he had 1,500 clients, and these issues were from many years ago. There's a sidebar at the bench. Bove asked judge to instruct Davidson to answer a question. After Davidson responded with little or no detail to a line question from Bove jabbed at the witness, who's also an attorney, about his fuzzy memory. This led to a testy sustained. We're both lawyers. I'm not here to play lawyer games with it, Bove said. Merchant sustained an objection to the remark. You're getting truthful answers, sir. He also took exception to some of the specific legal specific terminology Bove was using in his questions. You're not here to play legal games, then don't say extract, Davidson said Bove. Told Bove. Bove asked whether there was a settlement between Davidson's client and Charlie Sheen. I'm not going to answer that. Bove asked judge to instruct Davidson to answer the question about the settlement. Merchant said Davidson is asserting privilege and told Bove to ask another question. Yeah, that's attorney-client privilege. It also doesn't really have anything to do with this trial. Bove has been asking serious questions related to the time Davidson, the witness, was investigated as part of a 2012 extortion probe tied to Hulk Hogan. Now, so this is just trying to tear down Davidson's credibility. Saying like, oh, he's extorted people in the past. That's what this was here. So, just trying to tear down the credibility of the witness at this point. After several exchanges surrounding the investigation, Davidson confirmed in his testimony that he was not charged in connection with this case. Bove asked again if the experience gave him familiarity with extortion law. Perhaps, I don't know, Davidson responded, shaking his head. Bove is questioning Davidson about McDougal again. Davidson said that when Trump was ascending the polls, a former friend of McDougal's attempted to publicize her interactions with Trump in the press. Bove is asking Davidson about how he retained actress and model McDougal as a client. Bove notes that the attorney who negotiated McDougal's hush money deal was referred by her brother-in-law, who was a former client, Davidson's former client. Bove asked Davidson whether the agreement was ever actually signed by McDougal. It was my recollection I had a fully executed retention agreement with McDougal, Davidson testified. The initial retainer agreement said that the attorney's fee would be 35%, though Davidson testified he received 45%. Bove goes on to question Davidson about how McDougal's brother-in-law and another man who provided security were paid in the agreement. Davidson says the players in the deal who aren't lawyers were not paid out of his own cut. Bove is trying to drill down whether it was helpful for Davidson to be able to tell McDougal that he already started generating interest in the story from the National Enquirer, showing text messages between Davidson and Howard. Maybe or maybe not, Davidson responded. Bove is now going through the Los Angeles meeting Howard had with McDougal and Davidson. This is a meeting where Howard vetted McDougal's story. Davidson says that he knew Howard was going to report back to Pecker. Davidson confirmed he was informally initial after the meeting. Informed initially after the meeting that AMI was not interested in the McDougal story because it lacked corroborating evidence. Court breaks for lunch. Court's back in session. Nichols is raising an issue involving a gag order before testimony resumes, providing the judge a stack of newspaper articles from legal commentators. All these articles that Trump would like. All these articles are all articles that Trump would like to post on his Truth Social account. We think they are perfectly fine. We think there is ambiguity in the gag order, Nichols says. Conroy says his team will need to go through the articles. It seems odd they're asking the court for an advance ruling, he said. But if he like it's odd, but like every time he says something about this case or whatever, you guys want to drag him in for a gag order violation. So why wouldn't his team want to get an advance ruling to say, yeah, you're good to go on doing this? Like, what? Judge says he appreciates what you're bringing to my attention, but he says he's not going to be in a position of looking in advance at Truth Social posts. Judge says he's already ruled, and the appeals court has found nothing wrong with the gag order. If in doubt, steer clear. Merchant tells them, adding there's no ambiguity, I believe in the order. When Nichols tries to argue that there was ambiguity, Merchant cut her off. I'm not going to argue with you, Miss Nichols. I love this. So, I don't want you to violate the gag order, but I'm not going to screen your fucking post. Like, what is this shit? You're going to have a gag order, then you're going to have to, That's so bullshit. Look, I want to post these. Is this okay to post? I want an advance ruling. I'm not going to do that. What kind of bullshit is that? Like, I'm going to put a gag order. If you fuck up, I'm going to impose a fine on you, but I'm not going to let you know whether this is okay or not. Now, it's probably smart on the judge's part, because in all honesty, what it'll probably end up doing is Trump's team's just going to send thousands and thousands of posts of what Trump wants to post, and it's going to inundate his office. So it's probably a smart thing to do, but it's still bullshit. All right. Bove has resumed questioning by asking Davidson about the 2011 blog post on thedirty.com. The boyfriend of Rodriguez, who was Daniels' manager, worked for the website, Davison testified. Bove asked whether McDougal's ex-husband also worked for gossip websites. Davison says he does not know. Bove suggests Rodriguez's boyfriend wrote the post about Daniels' alleged affair with Trump at the time. Davison said he didn't know. Bove asked whether he was able to get the post taken down because it was written by Rodriguez's boyfriend. Davidson says he doesn't know if they were dating. If she was, I don't think she would have needed me, Davidson says. Bove asked Davidson whether Rodriguez, Daniels' agent, wanted the dirty.com post taken down because they were seeking a more lucrative opportunity with another outlet. Davidson says he learned this later. Bove is asking Davidson about whether he continued to work with Conan after the Daniels deal in 2018. He sent me work, Davidson said. It's not as if the experience with him was so horrific that you cease interaction with him, correct? Bove asked. Our relationship changed over time, Davidson said, adding he and Conan continued to interact professionally. Bove is bringing up an allegation of a sexual affair between Elliot Brody, who was Conan's client, and Playboy model Shira Burchard, who was represented by Kenneth Davidson. It involved a $1.6 million settlement. Bove asked him if this was similar to the agreement he negotiated with Trump and Daniels, except it was for a higher amount. Let's see. So apparently this So Birch allegedly in court documents said she was physically abused by Brody. Probably wasn't. And she charged that he was emboldened by Trump, alleged mistreatment of women, and the belief that he could get away with it. That's so dumb. Davidson said he suspected at times that Conan was recording some of their conversations. Ordinarily, he was all over the place, and these calls, it was a very structured conversation, which wasn't really his personality. I recall a few conversations speaking with Conan when his conversations were odd, and that led me to believe I was being recorded, Davidson testified. Less pants on fire, more straightforward, Bove asked. Maybe a little more self-serving, Davidson says. Davidson, the judge, and all attorneys are now wearing headphones to listen to an audio recording, which is a defense exhibit. The defense is asking Davidson whether he spoke to Conan about adult film star Daniels having settler's remorse regarding to the hush money deals she reached for her story on Trump. I may have, Davidson says. Davidson, the judge, and all the attorneys then donned headphones to listen to an audio recording. Afterwards, Davidson confirmed he can hear on the audio saying sometimes people get settler's remorse, in other times people think I need to resolve this case by a certain date because this is when I have the most. Davidson confirmed he used the word leverage in his conversation with Conan. That was Daniels' goal, to use leverage against Trump. Defense attorney Bove asked. No, Davidson responded. Daniels wanted to get out of the settlement agreement in 2018, and the founder of Hustler magazine, Larry Flynt, offered her $1 million and payments over legal costs to get out of the deal with Trump, Davidson says. Bove is now bringing up Michael Avenatti and his representation of Daniels. He is asking Davidson whether he said that Avenatti had driven a serious wedge between Daniels and her then publicist Rodriguez. Davidson confirmed that sounds like something I recall. Yes. Bove confronts Davidson with a recording in which he told Conan that Daniels wanted the money more than he could ever imagine, and he said if he loses this election, he's going to lose. We all lose our all fucking leverage. This case is worth zero. Do you recall saying that to Mr. Conan? Bove asked. Davidson confirms he said this. Bove is now walking through the agreement with Daniels, noting it was not signed by Trump. It's blank here in the DD space, Bove asked, referring to Trump's pseudonym David Dennison. Yes, Davidson says. All right, so cross-examination is done. They take a 5-minute break. Steinglass is back at podium. Having returned from the break, he requested to gather an exhibit. The prosecutor begins by asking Davidson about the context of the 2018 conversation Conan recorded. Steinglass asked Davidson whether Avenatti at that point was representing Daniels and had sued Conan and Davidson. I believe so, Davidson says. Steinglass brings up Davidson's testimony after questions from Bove about Daniels and leverage. In that recorded conversation with Conan, Davidson said she wanted this money more than you could ever imagine. You better fucking get it. Davidson said that's when he was saying if he loses the election, we lose all leverage. He was referring to what Rodriguez's boyfriend said, not something said by Daniels. Now Bove is asking for a moment to consult with Steinglass before accepting a transcript of the call into evidence. Bove does not object. Prosecutors are playing an audio clip of Conan for the jury. First time, apparently, they've heard Conan speak. I'm sitting there saying to myself, what about me? What about me? I can't even tell you how many times he said to me, I hate the fact that we did it. And my comment to him was, but every person that we spoke to tells you it was the right move. Conan is heard saying in the audio clip. So done with redirect after a line of questioning that led the jury to hearing audio from a phone call with Michael Conan. Trump's lawyers doing a recross exam, and attorney Bove has entered audio recordings into evidence. Now the jury is hearing a recording that previously only the witness, judge, and attorneys had listened to. Davidson discussed the idea of settler's remorse, and then Conan. With Conan. Bove is now playing another recording where Davidson is now talking about Avenatti during a serious wedge between Daniels and Rodriguez. The jury just heard a series of audio recordings submitted by the defense, including several we've heard described in court previously. A recording where Davidson tells Conan about a CNN interview that he said never had an indication Conan needed authority from Trump. A recording where Davidson, what was that? That he said he never had any indication Conan needed authority from Trump. A recording where Davidson talks to Conan about Daniel's manager Rodriguez and her boyfriend. A recording where Davidson talks about Avenatti driving a serious wedge between Storby and Gina. A recording where Davidson discussed the idea of settler's remorse with Conan. Next witness is Doug Danis, who works for the Manhattan District Attorney Office and is a records custodian. Deus processes digital evidence in a unit called the High Technology Advanced Unit. Conroy is questioning Deus. I think the prosecutors don't finish with him, and I think that's what's going on today. So let's see. Deus is explaining how his office processes devices that are Sorry about that. They're obtained via search warrant. Deus is also testifying that metadata is about metadata that is obtained via devices. Oh, that's not. We just read that. Deus. I'm just going. Yeah, Deus said he was assigned to analyze 2 iPhones in the investigation related to Trump, an iPhone 6 and an iPhone 7. The cell phones belonged to Conan. Deus said one of the phones had a gold case. He confirmed. Now let's see. So prosecution enters a large batch of evidence of text messages into evidence. One batch involves text messages between Conan and Hope Hicks. Who was once considered one of Trump's closest confidants and most trusted aide. First text shown was from November 4th, 2016. Conan texted Hicks, "Call me." Hicks is expected to be called to testify in the trial. Conan had 39,745 contacts on one of his cell phones. Deus testified. Deus called it unusual. Yeah, that's kind of unusual. Deus confirmed Conan had contacts on his phone that include Hope Hicks, David Pecker, Donald Trump, Melania Trump, and more. The phone had 10 pages of contacts for Trump, Deus said. Prosecutors are now showing a photo of Conan from the podium at the White House briefing room. Deus is asked to identify who is in the photo. Deus says he knows the photo is of Conan because he watches a lot of news. Deus explains an entry from Michael Cohen's phone that indicated he had a meeting with POTUS on 4:30 p.m. on February 8, 2017. Deus is now confirming the metadata for the audio recording on Conan's phone. Prosecutors are playing a recording from September 2016. Trump's voice can be heard in the courtroom. Trump is on a phone call when the recording starts. When he hangs up, Conan can be heard saying, "Great call, by the way, big time." Conan says he needs to open a company and that he spoke with the Trump Organization's chief financial officer, Alan Weisselberg, about how to set the whole thing up. Prosecutors show a transcript of the last 46 seconds of the call where the relevant discussion of opening a company happens. Oh, well, that was short. Bove is now conducting the defense cross-examination. That was quick. Bove asked Deus about his work in Iraq doing forensic and intel collection and the difference between that and working and what he does with the Manhattan DA. Deus on his LinkedIn page says he worked during media exploitation services for the U.S. military in Iraq from 2011 to 12. Bove asked him to confirm the integrity of the data matters more in a criminal court because people's rights are at stake. Bove is asking Dave whether the ideal is for a device that is obtained to go immediately in the vault, but that sometimes there's lag time. The forensic analyst, explains data has a digital fingerprint. All right, so that's the end. A judge says that a juror has an appointment tomorrow afternoon, so they will break at 3:45 p.m. All right, so Bove will continue his cross-exam today. Well, it's doing it today, so I'll cover that Monday. So there we go. That's the end of it. Very interesting. Very interesting. We got into Davidson. Turns out he, was potentially part of a corruption scheme involving Hulk Hogan. So that's been presented to the jury. So we'll see how that goes. But yeah, so Monday, make sure you check me out and give me a follow. I know I said I would try and do a second stream. It's been a little difficult, especially since I normally have to. My wife is getting not a lot of sleep because of our youngest so far, our newborn. So gonna still try and do one. We're gonna go do some family things. So I don't know if I'll end up getting to do a show later this afternoon, but I will try. Make sure you give me a like and follow. Hope you all enjoy the video. Make sure you like it and follow it, like I just said. And yeah, so make sure you come check me out Monday where we discuss the Trump trial again. I hope you have a good day. Peace out, and I'll see you later.